How's it going today, folks? Future LJS here. Today we have kind of a follow-up video from the one you saw earlier today. Not really a follow-up, I guess, but in addition to, so you guys are seeing double the wilderness today. We just have a spellbook opening today, but I want to talk about something really important. And it has to do with Flesh and Blood and how I personally think that Metazoo, so this is a Metazoo video for those of you watching. Don't click away, don't hit the thumbs down button or whatever yet. This is a Metazoo video, but it involves Flesh and Blood. So if you know anything about the Flesh and Blood market, you guys know that Flesh and Blood 2.0 got released. And, they're not released yet, but it was talked about earlier this week. It was very much prevalent and everything. But, so anyways, the idea of Flesh and Blood 2.0 and the idea of Flesh and Blood is that first edition does not work. So that's the kind of the purpose of this video, is to talk about first edition and Metazoo and how it can or maybe ruin Metazoo. I don't know if it's going to ruin Metazoo, but I definitely think that it could hurt it. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. We might take it a little slower on the opening because we're just going to spend some time talking about how the fact that Metazoo is doing first edition, and I mean, $100 a box is less than MSRP, so it's not awful, but I mean, I don't know, will this model be able to hold up? I know they didn't do necessarily a second edition of Wilderness that has not come out yet, but they did do it for other stores. So it's like, it's kind of a, I don't really know how to explain it. We don't know what they're doing for the future. We do know they have a reserve list, so that's a plus. But we don't know like whether there'll be banned cards. I don't know how that'll affect the competitive play. But I just wanted to kind of bring this up and talk a little bit about how I think that Metazoo should go away. Ooh, Dragon of Encanto. Great way to open the video. I actually needed, I think, a couple more of these, but so it's nice to always see this. This is one of the better cards in the set, if you guys don't know. It's one of the Wild 7, but yeah, so for any of those who guys are trying to get reference to this, I watched Rudy's video, Alpha Investments, who talks about how Flesh and Blood did the first edition program, and it worked well for a short time, but how it's going to stand the test of time when the game is so popular. I mean, Metazoo is, I wouldn't say is like the most popular game, but it's making headlines. Like, oh wow, you see that white speck there? That stinks. I don't know if I just did. Oh no, okay. Oh, it kind of came off. But I don't know if, they'll keep doing it or what they'll do, but it just kind of like strikes me as like, okay, Metazoo, like we've said a lot on the channel. So if those of you who have not watched the channel a lot, I'm hoping this video actually gets some more likes and views and stuff. So I'm not going to say this very often, but like and subscribe. If you guys like this content, watch my other videos. But anyways, we've talked about this a lot on the channel. I honestly think that Metazoo has a lot to learn from Flesh and Blood and how they've made mistakes and how they've edited things. I honestly think that Metazoo needs to take a step back and say, okay, how can we learn from this other game that's fairly new and fairly successful and not make the same mistakes as them? Excuse me. So, excuse me again. I just think that they need to look at maybe the first edition model, and honestly, maybe change it. So, I don't know. I worry with the first edition model and like the unlimited model that it will get diluted. Like, for instance, again, kind of referencing Flesh and Blood, Everfest is the most recent Flesh and Blood set. We did a couple openings on the channel, and ultimately the set tanked. I think they're at like $80 a box right now, and it's not looking good. They announced an unlimited version of it, and it has panicked the market. So imagine how, let's just say the next set, UFO, does pretty good. Boxers sitting around 110, and then they announce an unlimited version of it. Well, that would tank the value of it. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it would tank the value, but it would undervalue it. Like, second edition came out for Crypto Nation first edition. I believe that was a very smart idea. People needed the cards for a cheaper price point. That was a smart move. But I'm just talking about the long-term effect. I honestly think it's very smart of them, of what they're doing, of giving second edition to Targets and Walmarts, just getting it into people's hands. I am just talking about if Metazoo does make it where they are honestly just doing like first edition and then second edition, like right back to back. I'm more talking about the whole thing as a like the idea of first edition and second edition as a whole. I'm not necessarily speaking just of Metazoo, but I think Metazoo has the most to learn about it because they're the ones still using it. They are one of the only ones using it besides all the Kickstarters right now. It's kind of just like, I don't know. So I think it's very interesting. Let's do the trick that my friends were doing that you guys saw earlier today, just on this last pack. Let's see what we got. We got Germinate. So I don't know. I was just thinking about this, and I was like, Metazoo could learn a lot. Wow, that was a alright. It was alright video, I guess, or it was an alright opening, I guess. But anyways, so kind of just to wrap things up, I guess. My general consensus, and I could talk for a long time about this, was the fact that Metazoo can learn a lot from Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood has made some mistakes. They've made some lefts, they've made some rights, but I think that Metazoo can learn from them and not go down that road. Flesh and Blood has a huge penetration in the market. They got 1/3, about, I believe, of stores that carry it, and if Metazoo can get to that, we're gonna see a firestorm, because Metazoo is honestly a great product. I really like this product. Some of the cards are just beautiful. I really like that. Like my friends were saying, like they really like the art style. It's different. It's iconic. But ultimately, what's gonna make Metazoo stand the test of time is their leadership and how it is gonna follow through. So I just kind of wanted to make this video and say, hey Metazoo, maybe you should look at Flesh and Blood in your competition and say, okay, the market didn't accept a lot of unlimited, so we need to be tight on our print runs, make enough for everyone to get product, but not too much. I think that is what the problem was, and I think that Metazoo is online with what they're doing. I think 100,000 for Wilderness is a little high, but I do think that they're headed in the right direction. I'm not making this video to criticize Metazoo. I am just saying that, hey Metazoo, kind of poking them, saying, hey, pay attention, because you're doing well, but at any point, you can make a wrong turn. I want Metazoo to succeed. I know we do a lot of Metazoo on the channel. I want the game 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road to say, yeah, I was part of one of the first initial sets, and I believed in the game when a lot of people doubted it, a lot of people made fun of it. I know I'm not like one of the first supporters. I know I'm not one of the first people that backed it on Kickstarter and saw the boom and the bust, but there will be a time where if this game succeeds, we look back and say, oh yeah, maybe they learned from Flesh and Blood. And I hope Flesh and Blood succeeds too. I like the game. We played the game. Not on the channel, but I've played the game and it's fun. And for all those Flesh and Blood fans, I think Flesh and Blood 2.0 is a interesting point. I think that he's making it a lot different than Metazoo in the point that he's making it a player's game, while Metazoo is trying to do both. So I think that they're in different categories still. So I wouldn't say Flesh and Blood and Metazoo are necessarily very big competitors, while they are, but I wouldn't say that they're doing the same thing. I believe the direction Flesh and Blood is trying to bring players together, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing to have a game that you care about players and you care about how it affects the market. So, with that, I think that that's all I have to say for today. Folks, again, thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you guys watching, all the comments, the new subscribes. I'm not going to say this very often on this channel, but please share this video. I really thought a lot about this and tried to make it a good video where I brought up a lot of good points, but because I really think that Metazoo needs to learn this and people need to hear this. So please share this video with people that you think might be interested in this. So thanks for watching and see you in the future.